We can do the kitchen.
Yeah, probably.
Test. This is a test.
No, it's not.
I sit softball tournaments all year long, so
You don't sit,
field
you
injuries are not a big deal.
All right, do we want to get going?
Yes.
I'm not sure why I'm speaking, but I'm from the town of Hartford, so I feel like somebody from the town of Hartford should start.
You're the chair of the Hartford.
Yeah. Well, I'm the chair of the, yes, exactly. Okay. I'm the chair of the Hartford Withdrawal Committee, so, we'll start with that. So I think at this point, we should at least begin with introductions, so everybody's fully familiar with one another and identify the chairs, right? So, after you.
Becky Elson and part resolution, part of the withdrawal exploration
And petition.
and petition.
Nick Tips, Chair, Hartford Select Board.
Isaac Taylor, member, resident of Hartford.
Chad Fulton, the chair of the RSU Withdrawal, and then Hartford.
Erin Hinckley, I'm school board member. Michelle Casey, petitioner, chair.
I'm Bob Gannon, select board member of Buckfield.
Neil Austin, resident of Hartford.
I'm Deb Frino from Sumner. I'm the chair of our withdrawal committee.
Kristen Chapman, and I'm the RSU member, board Summer.
I'm Liz Coon, Summer resident, and also work at the elementary school.
Jesse Wallford, and I'm a selectman for the council.
All right, so thanks everybody for being here. I guess I have a very rough agenda here, so, going through introductions, getting after nominations, the understanding is that each town is going to have their own committee, but we do have the right to join together and form a tri-town committee. And at least through some of the thoughts that I've had, it makes a lot of sense to nominate a chair within this tri-town committee, and a vice chair, and a secretary, so we can be more orderly, organized, and have a chain of command. And we all obviously will still maintain our own committees, and if at some point one committee disagrees, perhaps we can take next steps on that, right, I guess, so. So aside from nominations, for those that think we can get after that quickly, but objectives for why we're sitting here, as well as rules and expectations, I guess, there probably should be some guidelines that we all agree upon as we embark on this quest, so. Does anybody nominate or volunteer to take the secretary role?
I will.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How about vice chair?
So I think one thing we're talking about, and a couple of things, is people discuss like, how do we want to have it set up? Do we want to have chair, vice chair? Do you want to have the three chairs from the boards, or, I think it's probably a good time to kind of discuss what
Yep.
what you guys think makes the most sense.
Right. do people agree with having a nominated within the three, or have the three chairs from each town?
I think the 3 chairs from each town, and then whichever town is hosting, then that chair is responsible for the agenda.
Okay,
You know, I was thinking.
The only concern I have about that would be, it would be nice to have the same person chair every meeting.
Okay,
So it's more streamlined in the sense that everybody expects the same pattern, everybody expects the same
Okay.
procedure.
I can see that.
And then I was foreseeing possibly from that, then, because as we go along, I would assume that each town is gonna, because each town has its own individual withdrawal process, it's basically just gonna be duplicated in 3, as long as we all agree as we move forward. But we're still gonna have some subcommittees and some other stuff that need to get work done. And I would assume that the chairs for each of the towns that volunteer to take on that specific section would be in charge of that section. That's a thought.
What section are you referring to?
Well, when we go through each of the steps, each step has different homework we have to do, right? So like, contacting the lawyer, there should be a one person liaison with the lawyer, I would assume. I mean, I suppose we've got 3, but, that sets up the meetings, that make, coordinate different things. And as we go along with those different things, we're gonna need to do research, right? Those are the kind of things that I'm thinking of as we go along.
So are you thinking that each of the 3 towns is going to be tasked individually to do something, or are we gonna mix amongst ourselves and mix the 3 towns to take on each?
I think we have to decide that. I think we have to decide what is more appropriate to, can we, co-person, because some people will be better at certain aspects and others will be better at other aspects.
I think that's my concern, is I want to make sure that we are the most effective as we can be, and I would like people to be in an area where they feel comfortable that they can handle it, so that's why I just wanted clarification of what your idea was.
Right, and then the other thing too is because each town does have a chair, they can, before the meetings, they can follow up with their representative of that town and say, hey, did you do your homework? Did you, do those things to make sure that each town is ready to come back together as a team to present. And of course, as we go along, we can mix and change this as we go along, because, this is new for everybody.
Right. I think the 12 of us all working together makes more sense to me than recreating the wheel 3 different times, so that if one person goes down the rabbit hole and finds some information, that person can share with everybody, rather than, people repeating.
I agree.
I think as far as just as an example, if we have somebody of each town doing the notes each time, that might, we have one person that's gonna be really good at it, is gonna do it, or we might have some inconsistencies with how the notes are recorded. That would be a good job.
Yeah, you want to know, take it down, yeah, sure.
I mean, I'm kind of agreeing that, that's fine.
Right.
I think that's about it.
That's just an example of, from my perspective, of what I was thinking.
I mean, I also think that we should still rotate where we meet.
Yeah.
Just so that those residents of that town can come if they choose to, and make it easier on them as we rotate. And then whichever town that is meeting is that board's responsibility to make sure the technology is ready for the Zoom and all the other stuff.
I guess a thought I was having was, we might have 2 people from separate towns that are doing one of those sub-projects or whatever, because that's their strong suit, so having just one big group would probably make more sense from that regard, rather than all 3 of us doing, if someone's in each group doing the same investigative work, it might be like, me and Robert might be doing something that makes more sense because of our skill set, you know what I mean?
I agree with you, I think it makes sense, and, you know, that's why I think this group makes sense to have, I think, obviously, get some committees, because that's how it works. And having people in this committees from each group, if that makes sense. Or if not, maybe, but it probably does make sense to have somebody from each town in those committees, so, that we're all working together, not.
I agree.
Right, yeah, so like, if we didn't have anybody in a certain committee, someone would just go on the committee until we had the next meeting, type of thing, or, you know, missed email or something, so.
And for me, it doesn't matter who is the chair, I mean, it doesn't matter to me what way it works, if we have the three chairs for each one working together, and then I think we had originally talked about having it rotate, if it's in Hartford, then we do it, if it's somewhere, you know, but it doesn't matter to me, it's whatever else.
Right.
I'd have to say that I agree with what Chad is proposing and Deb as well, because, you know, in our individual towns, we're gonna naturally be talking to who our chairperson is, and then I think that all three are gonna be able to work really well together, and just designating that the host person leads the meeting that week, that seems to make a lot of sense to me, as well as one notator for us all. To me, it seems like we've designated out already enough, and if we did chair and vice chair, it might we're just making another designation that it just, I don't know if we'll get much more accomplished that way, but that's just my opinion.
Aaron, do you believe recording the meeting?
I sure do.
Perfect, thank you.
How many of those things we got?
They're handy.
I really pushed it for you guys.
Yeah, they're handy.
And then we'll just share the minutes with all of
Yeah.
us. Perfect.
And I do agree with Chris, that I'm happy to be the designated note taker, because I do agree. Just having one of those would make more sense, but I do also agree with having the chairs from each town, it's more inclusive that way, in my opinion.
And the chair doesn't have any more authority than anybody else, it's just really somebody to keep the meeting going.
Yeah.
Right, keep things on track. Okay.
So I would propose that we have a three-person leadership team of the chairs from each withdrawal committee. And I would, you know, if we want to vote on that, we'll probably, you know, something we can vote on, but we can do that a second.
I will second that.
Any other thoughts or?
So we're just designating that each chair of the town becomes our leadership for the big 12 person.
And then be the person who would lead the meeting.
Yeah.
At their respective
Thinking for that, well.
town. No, but I'm not married to that idea either, but.
Well, I think we have to vote that as a motion.
Right.
Unless anybody has anything else.
Is there any, yeah,
I don't know if you want input.
I think you do, yeah.
I just have a question, is once you get an attorney involved in this or whatever, who's communicating with the attorney? If there's three people, that's just a legitimate question, I'm curious. I think it makes sense to have
What
Three, or the three of them, you know, I'll have an email chain.
Actually, yeah,
You know,
because that way all three towns are informed
Right.
equally, I agree.
Yeah, I
You
can,
could like have one person do the main communication, all three on it.
and the chairs decide they want three other people to be the person that
Yeah.
is dealing with the practical lawyers.
Yeah, I think that dealing with the lawyers and a subcommittee.
Well, the reason I asked is that I know like, and I don't know how it is in other municipalities, is like the lawyer's usually like one point of contact.
Right.
And so like, my selectman can't just reach out to the lawyer, I have to be that shit point of contact. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and this committee, I think, would have to authorize whoever it is
Yeah.
to be able to make a lawyer.
Yeah.
Those emails cost money.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's another reason.
I don't think I ever got confirmation, did you talk to our lawyer? That,
I did reach out, I have not gotten a response.
I don't think I'll double check that tomorrow.
Oh, we can approach that topic later too.
Yeah, I think that would be one of the
Oh, I
first
would-
topics. Yeah, we should vote on it.
well, I guess my question before we vote on that, is there any Okay. So, motion, please.
Sure, I motion that we have each town's withdrawal chair be a joint three-person leadership team. And whichever town that we're having a meeting at, that chair will run.
I second that.
All in favor?
So Nick, I guess that makes you officially running things.
Well, he has to address us, so.
How about doing agenda? I was really excited about having somebody take the lead about 2 minutes.
All right, let's move this to summer.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I guess a lot of this is just about discussion, in my opinion. So I feel it's important at this very initial meeting to highlight objectives, what brings us here, what is our why, what is our extended why. It can't all be about one thing, so I'd like to have that in our notes so we can reflect back on that to remember what we're fighting for, or fighting to learn, fighting to figure out, right?
I would like to propose, before we even go down that road,
Sure.
that we respect each other's time frame and that we start on time and end on time at every meeting, because lots of us love being out in the cold and the dark, so.
Yeah. Put that on the next topic.
Thank you. So I propose that we start on time and end on time.
That's very.
Well, before we go to objectives, I think it'd be wise to talk about how long we think each meeting should be, because we're gonna stick to that if we say that, I think, right? Is that what you're intending?
Yeah. So if we start at 6:30 and go till 8 or 8:30, 8, so that gives us 90 minutes. And then we will bring the work that we've done to the meeting and stay on task during those 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the meetings probably will be quicker, but I think that a lot of the work's gonna be done in this.
Right, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. The actual,
It's hard to get something about this many people.
and then even a couple of 3 hours would be difficult.
Well, hour and a half meeting or less.
Don't take it, that's her.
Wait, that's my job.
I gotta get my answer, that's all.
I guess I need to get him from after.
Yeah. Okay. How often do we want to meet? Monthly, bi-weekly?
I think twice a month.
I would say probably.
Well, the thing is, we do have tight timelines, so.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know.
Yeah, we do affect timelines, but the Department of Education will know, and we're also on they extend those, the lawyers will be able to come down to those times. So,
That's
which
pretty
is reassuring.
Yeah.
We just need to request extension, reopen.
Do you know what it's not to get?
Yeah.
Maybe we can-
Yeah, we just email, our contact with them.
Okay. So you're
I'm
making.
just curious, how many people out of your, this is just my personality, say, oh, yes, we will? Get it done in time.
I like timelines.
Who else personalities like that? Because I'm like, oh, yeah, why?
Yeah, I like timelines, but.
I totally agree that we have to
We
finish.
look at what we have to do.
Oh, I'm curious. That's just my personality. I was just curious if there's anyone else in the room like that.
No, I'm just saying, like, extend it too much, it'll take longer.
Right. But I think it's good just in any community to have a timeline, at least you have a target, whether you have to extend that, that's great, but.
Yeah.
You gotta have something to shoot for. Since we started with rules, we can talk about objectives after. Are there any other, rules, expectations that we wanna have laid out before us before we really get down into this?
Could we have an agenda that we all have access to before each meeting?
The next time, right?
You only say that because next time I'm not after.
Where do we go next? Oh, it's gonna be done. All right, so agenda, I said it at the opening meeting in Buckfield, but I guess I'll say it again, that I think it's important to remember that people put us here for a reason, so we, respect the voters' desire to find out the feasibility of this mission without bias. That's one of my expectations, and respectfully, sort of, we kind of talk about respect, and I think pretty clear we're gonna be respectful of one another, but obviously we have opinions based on what we see, right? Whatnot, but.
Yeah, sure, we all can disagree on a lot of different things, but we ultimately are here to do the same thing.
We're just talking over here, it's a good idea that we have a media point of contact, because I guarantee someone from the media will reach out about this. It might be a good idea to have someone have a contact. I don't, that's your joke.
You don't want one central message, you don't want that everybody in this committee getting different opinions.
Sorry.
Well, I like to think that point is that media is on Facebook.
No, I'm talking about legitimate.
Like, the Sun Journal or
Yeah.
something like that.
Do you believe that?
I know that I've already got an email from the main monitor asking questions,
Oh, nice.
Just like,
which I have not answered.
we're in Buckfield, I don't know who that gentleman was, but it's already on the radar for free state reps, so.
He is.
Oh, is it? There you go.
Oh, like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think for media point of contact, and then we can go back to the chairs of each town, and to me, that makes sense that, you know, the media could reach out to one of the three of the chairs, and
Well, do you distribute the message, or do you expect somebody to come and ask you, or do we expect somebody's gonna come to us, or are we gonna expect we're gonna put the message out there the way? Right?
we'll go have a minute.
I expect that somebody's gonna come to you.
I'm legitimately asking because I have no clue, so, does that happen in any other towns?
I get emails from reporters all the time. Most of the time I ignore them, but I'm just saying if something does get put out there, you're gonna want to be ready for it. So if you're doing it as the three chairs, maybe you three meet up and say, hey, I got this question, what should we put out there before something goes out there? It's just a good rule to have, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, at least the three, and then communicating back to everybody else what. So we don't want anybody like, you know, I mean, you're free to do what you want, but it's, you know, so you go on the road, you know.
Yeah, just keep it like.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I can see a reporter showing up at a select board meeting looking for some sort of update, so I guess if that happened, I would suggest that we point them to the next meeting for this
I
committee.
think that's what.
If that was the way that avenue that they chose to come to the town and find out information.
And the other thing I think that would be important for us is that trying to figure out what kind of subcommittees we want for this. And then you kind of, other people that are not necessarily what the idea is.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Chad.
I'm sorry.
I can tell you this is a school board meeting. I can't hear you, Chad. But, I know Aaron and I talked a little bit about some ideas for subcommittees, and I mean, obvious one would be looking at the budget. You know, that's one of the withdrawal agreements. It's on a withdrawal agreement. You know, we look at that withdrawal agreement and realize which ones are naturally going to need a lot of work on them. And make those designations there, which I haven't looked at them all, like to say, but I know it seemed like in the ad hoc committee, you guys were very organized in how you were breaking up homework. So I would think something like that. And then another idea was looking at prior withdrawal agreements that have already been submitted and have a group looking at that. I mean, don't reinvent the wheel if it's already there.
They're right there.
And they're right there on the website, so for
Sure.
somebody to dive in and really look at those and say, hey, you know, this RSU went through that process and they have a similar sizing of what we are proposing with our 3 towns. How similar are we to them? How different are we to them? I think somebody designating that level of research to bring it back to the committee makes a lot of sense to not have everybody reading through all of that. Those were just 2 off the top of my head. And again, I haven't really looked through all of this too much, but I don't know if you guys had any other suggestions.
I think that makes sense. The other thing I was thinking is having, we want like a separate subcommittee that's dealing with the lawyer or, you know, like, or would that just be the chairs? I mean, because I think that's where we're gonna get a lot of our information from. And then somebody that's gonna liaison with the Department of Education, probably having 1 or 3 contacts that are working with them, I think would be helpful. They're the ones that will give us numbers, help us work on a plan and revise plans, so.
Do we have an attorney that's been recommended to us?
No.
Well, Harper's has been to withdrawals prior, correct?
So Dan Stockford, I believe his name is, that's who the town of Hartford uses. I've heard that he has done this before. I don't know who the other 2 towns use.
I forgot the name.
Catherine, that's,
Yeah.
good luck trying to name all the names.
Yeah.
Jamie Bell was an attorney.
Yeah, I was trying to think of who we have.
Who's he, are they, are any of them, Isaacson and Raymond, I think is with who, Stockford was.
So I sent an email to the town attorney for Buckfield, on Buckfield's behalf, but I have not received a response back as far as whether they've been through this before or not. But I felt it was at least worthy of at least reaching out and saying, hey, are you interested in this? And if so, have you had any experience and would you be interested in putting in a proposal? Just because I don't know what that means for Buckfield and Sumner to say, hey, we just hired an attorney to do this, and I don't know what, you know what I mean, so. The only recommendation I've seen is the one that you just, yours.
Are we under the feeling that each town should use a lawyer, we should all use the same lawyer?
I think we should say lawyer. Say lawyer.
And a quick Google search will tell you which ones deal with this all the time, and I wouldn't go with just your town attorney.
Yeah.
Because you don't want this to take forever, one. You want someone who's been through the process. And, I talked to the lady in Pittsfield, and she's gonna send me the name of the lawyer that they use, that they were really happy with. So, I would be very careful who you use.
I think that's probably the thing we should actually come out of this meeting with is having a subcommittee that is like a legal search subcommittee. You know, like Michelle said, you really want it to be somebody that specializes in school law and has done this before.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Especially you.
And I think we'll want them sooner than later, because we're gonna need guidance. I mean, I don't wanna spend all kinds of different work doing committee work, when we don't, you know, we don't have to, because it's mainly boilerplate stuff that we don't have to do all that stuff, or we don't have to read other people's withdrawals, because they're gonna have that, and they're gonna say, you can do, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z.
Well, we're gonna end up paying them the right one anyway, so. just let them run.
Exactly, you know, whatever, it's not,
I think we would like dictate what we want in the agreement, and then they
oh,
would be.
yes, definitely, but they're gonna tell you what things you need to look
Yes.
for. Like, one of the biggest things that Dixfield warned me about was doing inventory. Making sure you have the buses that are running here now, those are the ones that are staying here. The technology that's down here now, that's staying here. Nothing goes missing. And just, those are just a few points that, but yes, really picky about the lawyer thing.
So do you think we should have a subcommittee that does inventory?
Well, that's why I think that we need, I remember last time, we request information from the superintendent's office. So yes, that would be something I would look into, is what here now, what do we need? If you don't want, when we get to the end, things are slowly walking out the door, because it does happen,
Yeah, that.
and it has happened.
That's something like, we're way, not even close to that side yet, but I.
No,
But it's
number
important.
one is legal, but it's
One thing
okay.
that's helpful is that, there is the assistance for equipment, that's his option, that's what he's understood.
Yeah.
So he actually already gave us some questions, and that's what we were talking about, was getting down there, counting laptops and things like that, but I think we gotta find a lawyer first that can help direct us.
I would echo Michelle's statement in that I personally would like to choose a lawyer who's been through this many times. I don't want someone who is familiar with it or maybe done one. We're gonna be leaning hard on this lawyer as a resource. And, not a resource, but a director of the ship, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, because we could just spend it for the next 6 months.
Did you say which is going
Oh, I'll have the lawyer's name tomorrow. Okay.
You said you had an attorney's name.
He actually turned out to be Hartford's.
Oh, well, there you go.
Same person. Okay. And when I sent him an email, he did reply back saying that he wasn't
Interested and experienced.
interested. Inexperienced, correct.
Speaking of lawyers, the select boards of each town have to give their chair, their committees reporting to spend, or how does that work out?
I know in Buckfield you will, and I know in procurement, you need 3 proposals at least for Buckfield to approve it.
But
So,
you guys would have to actually authorize this board or your individual, committees are, how does that work?
The warrant, right? So
well, they approved the warrant to spend that amount of money, but there's still, each town has their own policy, right? So like the town of Buckfield, I don't have the authority to spend more than $4,999.
Right.
So to say that this committee has the authority to do that,
Spend $150.
and that's what I'm saying, is to say that I assume both towns have similar policies for procurement that would say solicit, put out an RFP, solicit it, and even if you know one has more experience, then you can review those, and then we all bring them to our select boards, they approve.
But that's what we gotta figure out, is how, what is the, to spend money, because I think that's gonna be tough with a lawyer, they don't wanna have that figured out, like, before they really spend any time with us, like, or who's gonna pay me, and how hard it's gonna be.
And that's a question that each town should ask their attorney.
Because I'm sure that once we agree on the lawyer and they agree to take the case, that they can split the bill 3 ways. That way it's evenly taken.
Right, so every time they send out an invoice, it's
just
sent
right,
to 3 of them evenly to each town, and then the select board's gonna have to go with the warrants,
Right.
sign them, cut the check.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, and you could, I don't know any town's policy that would be able to authorize somebody from this group to start writing checks.
Hopefully we don't.
I'm gonna tell you as a treasurer, I will not.
No.
I like the idea of the attorney, or the attorney's secretary sending 3 bills.
Yeah.
And then each chair or whoever of the withdrawal committee presents it to the select board and it gets on the agenda and gets paid that way.
So it would make sense for this group to probably have a treasurer that can liaison with the towns to make sure that they're all on the same page.
It's just one bill,
Yeah.
it's just legal fees.
That's true.
So it's not like we're getting bills for, cups and coffee,
Yeah.
You're right.
we're not paying the secretary. So I don't
We
think
can just
that's
make sure that everybody knows that the bill came and it got paid.
Well, Aaron just found out she's not gonna pay.
Yeah.
There's no problem.
Because $150,000 is something that could go pretty fast.
Yes, it can.
Yeah, I definitely should.
Didn't you have the experience that when you spoke to an attorney on the phone, they charged you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 15 every email we've ever had, answered has cost the town at least $350.
Wow.
Just have an email answer.
So I want to ask what kind of communication and networking this kind of experienced person who's done withdrawal before, how do that's the same, or different, how they manage their time. They can be part of your proposal or your request, RFP.
You mean
How do you do that?
You mean like how they bill and like per
Taking
hour?
phones and so that you know whether you're gonna minimize or funnel that communication really efficiently.
Sure.
Charge them.
You charge the travel, they charge the postage, they charge per.
Oh, yeah, in person's $500 an hour versus an email, a screen, or whatever, we have that.
That seems to be part of your, kind of what you'd like to know compared to your attorney's office.
I have a question on the RFP. We don't have to take the cheapest person on something like this, right? Okay.
I agree.
You decide.
We selected higher price
Right.
people based
I
on.
know some places have a policy on that.
Is there a minimum number of people that need to, be part of the RFP?
He said three.
Three?
For your town?
You need 3 proposals, is what our policy is, so
Okay.
we would need at least 3 proposals.
Jesse, us two? Alright,
Sometimes there's a little stipulation in there if you don't get 3.
Right.
That happens.
Right, yeah.
right.
I think our policy is just anything over 2,500 has to go to David. I don't know if we do that in our meeting.
Oh, we're definitely going.
Sorry, I'm confusing 2 different policies for about 2. Sorry, if I want to spend $4,999, I need 3 prices. Everything over 5,000 has to go up there. So if only one person is,
Yes.
you're good.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, that's right.
So what's the next step of that?
I think my biggest thing that I did about subcommittee to do a structure work.
I second that.
And does it make sense to have one person from each town?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay, Michelle's already done.
I agree.
I don't mind doing it for ours.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that.
Are you?
Anybody from Harvard?
Thank you, Isaac.
Well, in the report, we weren't on that stuff.
And, you mentioned that we need a subcommittee to start looking at the budget. Do we need the attorney on board first before we start researching the budget?
I think we can start looking at it.
I do too. I think the more you get them now, at least the more informed you are.
Yeah, okay.
So what it says to me is, what the ad hoc committee had already looked and pulled together, the ED 279 and all that information, to start there.
I still have all
Yeah.
That information is still accessible on the town clerk's website. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's any-
that. Yeah, it's still on Summers too.
So is that a motion that you made?
Yes,
What was the motion?
to form a subcommittee for the budget.
Oh, okay.
With one person for each town?
Yes.
Second?
No question.
No?
Or more like a statement, yes. I was thinking that when it comes to the budget, when we look into that, I would also like to maybe look at alternative ways to look at the budget. Rather than just going by the numbers that Archie Penn has, like actually going in, finding out from ground level, what is the minimum requirement for what kind of teachers, what kind of staff, by state and federal law, and then build it up from there. So we have something fresh to look at as well, not just one way of doing it, or maybe an alternative way of doing it. The DOE should be able to do that. I'm sorry, what?
The Department of Education should be able to help us with that.
Right.
So that committee will be on that.
I want to be able to.
My thinking about the budget subcommittee might be to have an RSU member on that along with another person in each town to really, bring maybe the ad hoc committee information into it, and us RSU members can bring in our existing understanding of the budget. I mean, like, the 11 cost centers are designated by the DO, but there's nothing you can do about those. But so to maybe merge, so to be obviously a bigger committee, but it's a huge undertaking in my opinion. I'm still learning about the budget, Michelle, but
I think we always are.
Yeah, and it can be very confusing because what the state puts out there for money for us is what they think is the basic minimum to run a school, and even they acknowledge that it's not really correct. That's not enough.
No, but one of the things, I think the lady that came down to talk to some of you guys that are on that committee, said that if you're looking to save money, you're not saving money. What you're doing is controlling the cost from here on out. And we have to have people willing to sacrifice for a couple of years, and that is going to be one of the major things is selling this to the people in town. Getting the word out there, let people know what we're up to, what we're finding, so.
Yeah, I think it's important.
But if anybody here is thinking what they save.
Yeah,
And we're gonna
it's
have to
important.
sacrifice, although right now I think we sacrifice already. I mean, do we even have a language teacher
Yes.
or part-time maybe?
We do
Yeah,
now.
we have
So,
so I will second the motion that was made to put a budget committee together. I don't know if it got seconded.
It did not.
There, so, no, go ahead. We obviously need to have a committee for it. So we're thinking 6-person committee, is that what I'm saying?
Part of that was,
All RSUs, and then
so everybody else.
it makes sense to have someone who's already done the work from the ad hoc committee, but by all means.
So you're okay with being on it? And then did you want one full board member each time?
I think because we're familiar with it, and communicating it, and
But by all means, I mean, if there's somebody else who wants to jump in on a committee and offer up,
Well, Kristen, you already volunteered to be on the committee for the lawyer.
like, I'm not volunteering for any more committees.
that was on you guys.
That's a short-term committee, though. I mean, you guys have put
All right, once you get the lawyer, that committee's over.
Yeah, that one's over, so you need to know that.
No.
just trying to make it sound better.
Okay, to clarify, for the budget subcommittee, we're gonna have Neil, Kristen, Chad, and myself. Is that correct?
we could have somebody else.
Yeah, somebody else wants to, but that's the next part.
I will be on it.
Okay.
Okay.
And Elizabeth. Thank you, Jess.
And Neil, what you were suggesting earlier was a part of that, correct? A part of-
Right, I mean, part of that, just thinking alternative ways to go about the approach of, and I understand about, we're not saving money, I get that, but I still think that some of these ways that the budget is created and turned around, I think there's other ways to come about that. And we may come up with the same answer. It's just that without trying to look at that, I think we're kind of, well, basically continuing to band-aid the same problems and get right back to the same problem.
I agree.
Michelle, would you be willing to be on that committee to help us RSU members, maybe have a bit of a deeper understanding?
Sure.
And then Michelle's like, oh, you're doing school budgets.
She does. So that one is 7.
So we have budget and legal exploration, is that correct?
Correct.
You mentioned others, but
Uh,
asset inventory, fire, withdrawal agreements,
yeah,
department of
right.
liaison.
So our next step though is the withdrawal agreement, correct? It's gonna
Yes,
be
it is.
reviewed.
We're up, as far as the 22 steps are concerned, we're up to step 8.
Mhm.
And step 8 requires us to look at, where is it? This is the rabbit hole in the front. Title 20A, subsection 1466, which has 13 steps in it. And so, I researched it, and the first paragraph of, or number 1 of those 13 steps is the allowable tuition rate for students sent from one municipality to the other, determined under section 508, subsection 1 and subsection 2, which is another rabbit hole to go down. You know, so I just started to look at step 8 and those other 13 steps. And I thought, holy Moses, how do we even
That's
begin?
why I think Michelle said, well, it makes sense for us to have a lawyer
Yes.
kind of direct this.
Yeah,
Instead of us just all trying to do all this work that
Yes.
they've already have it. I mean, I think that can we do that kind of already have, you know, kind of get us next meeting, but I think it's really important for us to get a lawyer first.
I agree.
That's-
Yeah, I agree. I looked at some other agreements from other towns, and I definitely think having a lawyer walking us through would be in our best interest.
Did you see it? I've gone through those, see if there are any lawyers listed.
No, there's not listed.
I know it is.
Yeah, of course.
The withdrawal agreement,
Yeah, I'm going through it now to see if I can see any lawyers.
No, there's not.
that is select not.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If your concern is this one district or one municipality or another, the experience of an attorney who has dealt with multiple municipalities coming out of the RSU rather than just one,
Right, that's good.
because that's gonna be your challenge of doing 3 at once. And do you have to do all of the tuition stuff? If you're submitting, you know, how different would that be for 3 schools, 3 towns doing it compared to one?
That's a good one, 'cause
How can you simplify it if you're doing multiple?
Oh,
Okay, I looked at, like, when Dixville and Camp pulled out, and they did put a lot of language with all the towns in it, in different parts of their agreement, so that's probably what's gonna
And that
happen.
is something that a lawyer would recommend for us to do.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense, I think we all, it doesn't make sense for one town to withdraw. It's not.
Yeah, no,
Right.
It would be sense.
Dixville was really insightful. I was curious about that, 'cause I looked at Richmond's and I'm like, that's just a town, that doesn't help me. So I looked at Dixfield and they did put the towns that were pulling out together in their agreement.
Who's their friend?
Dixfield's?
We're gonna
She's gonna know that. Michelle, she's supposed to give me information.
Oh,
The lawyer was, yeah.
Because obviously that's perfect example.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
What day did you guys officially become your own committee?
Last Tuesday. Yeah, last Tuesday.
What's there, was it like, what, 8 days ago?
Mhm.
Just throwing out the date here.
90 days from then, right?
Start.
90 days later, February 23rd. We have until February 23rd to. Or, right,
But that's a really good point.
Right.
We really have to be aware of the timelines on this.
What is that exactly mean,
so basically, so step A says, it says you have 90 days after the committee is formed, and because someone was first, we're going by their date.
Yeah.
90 days to finish step A. So that date is February 28th, so we, do everything we need to do, or get a waiver for extension before that.
You guys will have to request 3 separate extensions.
Right, I think it was gonna be true, so.
That sounds like we shouldn't go there.
I think you're right, everything is triple.
So do we feel like the two subcommittees we have so far are enough to get to the next meeting? Or, I mean, I think legal counsel is gonna be huge, that's the biggest obstacle.
Didn't we talk about a liaison for, media?
Yes, but I don't think the selection for that, or,
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
Who likes speaking in public?
I can do it.
You'd probably be better at it than me.
Well, who's gonna be who would be the person for, was the subcommittee gonna be the one that deals with, like, discussing with the, attorney, when we do have one?
Oh, yeah, we need a point person for the attorney.
I nominate you, and
I'll second that.
I like nomination.
But we want it to be one person, or is it, because each should be the chair, or the three chairs, probably.
That is what we talked about.
Yeah.
Well, like Dan said, they're only gonna talk to one person, you said, you think?
Most attorneys only want one point of contact, even for the RSU only wants to talk to the superintendent, so even if your three chairs are, you guys communicate that message, but you pick one of you.
But they'll communicate to the superintendent, the vice chair, and the chair. So having three, especially where it's three towns,
I mean, three separate
three
bills.
separate things, so.
Right,
I think it makes sense.
So my question,
Unless we get major pushback. I don't think it-
well, my question is this, if Nick is the liaison, who's to stop him from forwarding that information to the other two towns?
Right, I mean, if you have one person who's the liaison, obviously it's gonna communicate the other two chairs.
I would hope so.
I mean, yes, I would think that, like,
It'd be part of your negotiation with that. Like, once you do your RFP and you get the agreement from the like, the lawyer will specify what they want for point of contact. And then maybe they say one, maybe you tell them.
Specify what we want to.
That's right, yeah.
You know, but I think having one person for now makes sense. Yeah,
And then the expectation is you forward along information that you get.
Yeah, the lawyer would rather deal with one person to each town, with the chair.
Can we also, and I'm not trying to sidestep where we're going with this, but we need to also kind of get a policy in place about communication and transparency. So I understand about one chair speaking to the other chairs, but I think that all that communication needs to be open to the entire group and also the entire public. No matter what. So when you send an email out to the two chairs, that email should actually be sent out to every single one of us, from a lawyer.
you say again?
The whole thing or just this last?
This is the last part.
So for example, if you're talking to the lawyer, and you guys agree on something or come up with an agreement, instead of you just sending an email out to the other two chairs,
Right,
that you send an email out to all of us on this committee.
right, okay, yeah.
That way, we're all available, we all know it. Not saying that our representative chair won't tell us about it, but it may take a couple hours, or it may take a day, or they might be busy. It's just, if it's just more transparent and everything is all out there, even just regular townspeople can say, oh, okay, that's where they're at, well, that's what's going on. And so there's no secrecy or no presumption of secrecy, I guess.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I think all communication should be off all of us.
That's right.
Right,
Because that's the only way we're gonna win over anybody who is on the fence.
Yeah.
When it comes to that private vote, if you get to that point. So,
when it comes to media and information, I guess, is there any other means of getting this information out to our townspeople other than the fact that they can watch this video right now, and most are probably not watching it?
Well, we have informational meeting required, some of those steps have an informational meeting once we actually get to the point where we have some visual, so.
Like, what makes the difference?
Right.
My personal experience is when it starts costing taxpayers what they feel is too much money or a lot of money, they actually start to pay attention.
Yeah.
But until then, I don't even know if you'll get it now because they voted to approve the 50,000, so like, at this point, I don't know how much, unless they're in like complete opposition or favor, but people that are on the fence, I don't know if they even stay informed.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one.
Could it be that the minutes from each of our meetings gets put on the town site?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was wondering, like, how do we at least make it available most accurate, accessibly?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, Definitely put it on our website for sure, and
You gotta send out, other towns send out like, in Hartford, we send out like
True.
the minutes, or like notes, like I sent in my report, you're not coming to a meeting, and that gets sent out to all the people on the ground.
right, I'm not sure if we send it out on the email list.
I don't think we do, I think it's just on the town website.
So, yeah, either, however the towns communicate to everybody, it makes more sense to ensure it gets communicated out. I'm sure that there's.
Right, and what's interesting, we only have roughly just under 300 people on the email list of the approximate 1,200 people.
You have 300 people on the email list?
I've got 80.
I think I got 80.
We have twice that.
Yeah,
that's it.
So that's to get information out of
No, but it's interesting that that's still only a quarter, right?
Would that be our
I don't know.
media hall?
Media about.
What's that?
Yeah,
Oh, media.
No, so we had a side conversation about, she was explaining that not everybody's gonna go to the town meeting to get information. Facebook is great, Google Book is great, that's where people go. So we're just kind of spitballing, like, how do people get their information?
Like,
Where do they
watch
go?
the movies. I mean, I watched the school board once on.
Hand it out to the dump, everybody will know.
Yeah,
True.
but,
If you put it on
Except Mark.
one of the top-down pages, you
yes.
can actually turn comments off.
But we were just trying to spitball, like,
I don't even really care. I mean, do comments really bother people? I don't know, I can't get into that. I try not to. It's like, comment away. And my response would be, please come to a meeting.
The problem with the comments that I noticed is that it just continually gets,
People bad.
not badly, but the information gets worse and worse.
yes,
Right.
Like, it's not, like, it just gets out of context, and
Yes.
to the point that it's, the information that's out there is completely wrong.
yes.
Yeah, I can watch the video.
So the legal concept behind it is that the town's municipal Facebook pages or whatever are a source of getting information out there. It's not a place to debate. So if somebody wants to debate it, they can freely share that on another page and then have comments under that.
Right.
That's what I'm told, and that's why.
Well, I just bring that up because way back when I was on the school board, they used to share videos. And then the tech guy put an algorithm in, and you'd see one comment and not another comment. So basically censored everything.
You can't do that. It's actually illegal. You have to
would
allow
think,
all
but
or
they
none.
did it. And
Yeah,
then,
that's why it's not that.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to be. If you're not allowing comments, that's what it has to be.
Right.
You can't just
So,
filter.
I don't want any of that. I mean, that's nonsense. But
No, but
if you're not doing anything, then.
it's nice that if you're trying to get a message out, just let the message stand without
Right, I agree.
it being very, very misconstrued.
Right.
So do we want to like limit ourselves to just having the town's official way of communicating with their people, be the way that this community communicates until we
I
get to
agree.
the part where we have a public?
We do, email list, which isn't very many people, and then we post everything on our website. That's you either want to be informed or you don't, so
I agree.
unfortunately, you know, it
And
might be
still
a
some
wrong
people that
answer.
don't know how to use a computer, you know.
Well,
I
the
don't
problem
have a
with
computer, so I understand.
You gotta follow that.
I'm not talking about.
I know, right?
We also have the email that we created for the ad hoc committee that we turn over to this committee to put out there as, contact that we're not using our personal emails.
Yeah.
You mean if people from the community want to reach out?
Right.
Something to that effect?
I mean, I think with a lawyer, I think the lawyer should have your email.
Yeah, I
If you're
agree.
the point of contact directly, but as far as general public email, I mean, I can turn that over, or I can stay in charge of whatever you guys want to do. It's just a Gmail. And that's also where we posted all documentation that's still on Google Drive for
I know, that was pretty handy too.
all that, so.
And so can we do that again and post all of our information on a separate Google Drive or the same Google Drive?
I mean, we could create a whole new email, because the email that I created has the word ad hoc, all that stuff in it, which we
Right.
kind of don't really want anymore. I think.
Right.
So I created a brand new email out of Gmail, which would be a separate account
Mhm.
that has whatever name we decide, and then we can post any minutes, we can post any of that stuff there, choose from the other drive that has all the budget stuff that we work on, we can also copy into that one too, we can just kind of make that the primary. Where you guys want.
I think that's a good idea.
So would you think that'd be something that we could kind of have together for like the next meeting, or when we have one? And then I think that's something we should probably vote on at the next meeting, on like how we want to communicate.
I agree.
And make sure we have a clear policy on what we're gonna do there.
Right.
I like that.
And then as far as you being in charge of media, I mean, you can add for the right, that way that you can. I mean, if you want, you can actually have control over it, and I'll just be the tech guy, make sure it works, if you want.
So who wants the email list?
Well, I think if you could just send an email to everybody that's on that.
I can.
Then we could have the.
Sure, I can do that.
Or you could give that to Chris. I don't know if you understand. Then you can send a note to her.
Actually, really good idea.
And then we just have, that's our relationship.
One more question.
Yeah.
When you guys are doing the ad hoc committee meetings, did you get student count, special ed, staffing, and all that information?
We got some of that. It all depended upon which rabbit hole we started going down, if we get certain numbers. So as far as the budget stuff is concerned, because I'm sure that's part of what we're talking about, right? Or are you thinking it's just core numbers? Like,
I'm looking at,
like people like
because
this.
at some point, we're gonna have to see, okay, what we're gonna need for administration.
Right.
How many
So,
special ed students we're gonna have to pay for out of district, things
Right.
like that.
so we have the list of the special ed kids we have now. I think
Well, you have the one that Judy provided, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I have that also.
But it doesn't break that up.
It doesn't break it up for us, though.
No, but we can figure that out. I know Troy and get all that information.
I'm just gonna get that from Department of Education, E279, I was in that resolution.
Yes, I know, but
It would be nice to get a local number.
Yeah.
And then look at the E39, make sure they're good.
Yeah, and the state said that they include that, like the Department of Education said that we can bring it up.
okay, that's good.
I know that I do have an E39 that was created just for Buckland Harvard somewhere
Yeah,
about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
That Jason Long
Initiate.
initiated, because he was the liaison in the Department of Education, did that. And we have that document, of course, it's 4 months old now,
Right.
but it breaks everything down because we would be classified as our children.
it's a starting
There.
place.
The Department of Education has already set it up.
And the numbers are updated, what, October, I think, is when that.
Yeah.
But they use a 3-year average, so it's gonna take the last 3 years anyway.
Right.
But they
So,
don't give us our numbers till February.
right, so we have that, and it's also on the drive that we can get access to, just to look at, for that, so.
And did you find out if we have any main care, debt, bus notes, or
No,
summer
because,
salaries, if they're still doing that separate instead of having it in,
So I think those are good questions for the subcommittee.
Right.
okay?
so,
Budget?
so basically, just to revisit for 5 minutes about what we did put before getting the numbers.
Yeah.
Is we took, Leah sent us the actual copy for 25, 26, which was the approved budget. And we broke it down based upon their paperwork on the school accountants. And which covered about 70% of, yes, that's Buckfield School, that's these, some of the elementary school, that's about the middle school. So we know those numbers are fact because
Right.
that's what they have accounted for. And then 30% was what we classified as an unknown, because they just had a big block of numbers. And every time we asked them, can you break that down for what Buckfield's cost? Well, our software can't do that.
So what we ended up doing is, there are 7,
Some,
all grouped together.
some of it, yeah, some of it was administration, some of it was transportation, some of it was special ed, some of it was other different costs that we can never get a specific answer to. And every time that we ask, like, oh, let's just have a meeting, so we go and have a meeting, and we start asking, detailed questions, and they're like, well, I don't know about this number, and, well, that's this number, it just got really confusing. So all that we did was we took that unknown number, and we basically divided it by a pupil count to get as close as we could. So that's why with the budget subcommittee, I want to kind of come about this a little bit differently.
Yeah, instead of taking what they got, look at what we need.
What we need,
What
and
the
then
state
add
allows,
on,
what we need and what extra we want.
because then we know what that 30%, that's how
Exactly.
we know. So, that's the idea.
Yeah, we had a meeting with Leah, last week. And, I think we kind of went over some of this stuff, and like, how we work this out. And I think she kind of understood where some of this was, and I think she'll be able to help us.
Okay.
We want to kind of figure out the next meeting.
So you can figure out what we're doing after this, and what we should have for the next meeting.
Yeah, because we're on Saturday, like.
Yeah.
This next Saturday, this is the one that makes the most amount of time.
So 2 weeks from today is December 17th.
That was my
Do we want to keep it on Wednesdays? Or do we want to pick a different day of the week?
Well, the school board, it's a
We
little
have
tricky for us.
with committees on Wednesday.
Yes,
So the 17th, we have
Okay.
I say, let's get funky for us.
but Thursday, I mean,
Thursdays are better, I don't know what for you, but obviously Mondays are out.
I can zoom in, I'm gonna be in New York.
On the 18th or the 17th?
The whole week.
Yes. So it doesn't have to.
Will it take longer than a week to get lawyer information? Because that's really kind of where.
That's a good question.
I have some draft copy that I use for legal counsel. I can send it to you and you can revise it for whatever you need for this. So at least it gives you a template to start from.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I was gonna get a list of names and give them to Nick.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Nick, I'll send.
No, I think it's sense for us to, before the next meeting to have.
Yes,
Yeah.
or at least more of a foundational, like, what do we have, what do we go with, since it's not.
So
Yeah, and I would
I'll send
try to
you.
envision maybe us even choosing a lawyer at our next meeting.
That would be nice.
Right, if we have,
the information we need.
if we have the information we need.
Correct.
So the objective for the next meeting is to hopefully select a lawyer.
Yes.
So essentially, hopefully, Nick will come with some information.
But we have a committee for that.
That's true.
So to comply with.
Okay, so it was the chairs. Right.
I think-
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a legal search subcommittee, and then Nick is the
So
liaison.
who's the legal search subcommittee?
The chairs.
Yes, it's the chairs.
For the legal, yeah,
It's Michelle, Kristen, Isaac.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not a chair.
No, it's not
So you
chairs.
guys have the most important job.
So to meet Buckfield's requirement, if she gets you 3 names of 3 attorneys, you come up and they give you an RFP for what it should say, and you email that to those 3 attorneys and ask for a proposal on only one, you've met our requirement. And you give them a deadline, because obviously you can't hold this open for ever.
You know what sucks is the holidays.
Yes.
It's gonna be hard.
So you do it now right before holidays. The lawyers, they like money, they want to get business. Lawyers work for
I don't see
Christmas.
you until January.
So did we decide when the next meeting was? No,
Did not.
Yes.
Talk about what day is better for everybody, right?
So you have to zoom in that week anyways.
Yeah.
And you 2 have meetings on
Wednesday.
Wednesdays.
Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah.
You do,
And
yeah.
then usually out.
Right, you're zooming in either way.
Thursdays,
So,
oh, Thursdays I can go, well, you wanna start at 6 though?
We can start, we can start whatever time we decide.
Right.
We can start at 6:30, I think we were saying.
That's what I put down in the
6:30,
notes.
Yeah, 6:30 is fine, on Thursdays is fine.
So the first and the third Thursday, is that what we're talking about?
Yep. New Year's is on. No, New Year's Day is on, yeah, it's on Thursday, we'll have to skip that day.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, no. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, New Year's.
So we're talking about December
right,
18th?
yeah.
Yeah, so December 18th,
Already
is
had
that
a
our next one?
yesterday.
And
The
here,
first
on
Thursday,
Wednesday, on December
January.
18th.
Sunday.
Is
So
that
that's
the
our
first?
next one.
All right.
Do we just want to keep it in that order of BHS?
Yeah.
Process, something about it?
Yep. I was gonna say, because we already did one, so, yeah.
So somewhere on the 18th.
Yep, at 6:30.
What are we gonna do about the January first?
I would be fine, keeping it there,
I'm fine.
earlier in the week,
I'm
or
okay with that.
whatever.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I
it's not New
guarantee-
Year's Eve, it's the first, right?
Yeah.
right. The whole
So that's
conversation.
on Thursday, so Wednesday would be, you guys probably don't have schoolwork meetings that week at all. So we could do a different day that week.
Are we good there?
I think
Or we could figure out.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to, I would try to stick to the weeks.
Yes, I'm there.
Do we want to, do we bet more than that, or we just all agree to call it?
All in favor of the next meeting being,
Number 18, at 6:30 in summer.
Aye. Yeah.
As far as an email name, I was thinking of BHS Withdrawal Committee at gmail.com.
Sounds good.
Pretty straightforward, pretty, okay with that? If for some reason that's taken, which I don't think it will be, I'll just have the word remain.
So a clarification about the lawyer subcommittee group, are we going to be working on, like, doing our own research in the next couple of days? The three of us, and then whatever suggestions we find for lawyers who have done this before, get that to you, Nick, is that the plan? So then, when we, I don't know how we pull in the RFP into this, but I know in the next few days, I can be working on seeing who's out there for lawyers who have been through this. Is there another?
Karen said he was gonna send
specification
the
or-
RFP to Nick, the sample RFP.
Ken's gonna send me the RFP.
You guys are tasked with researching, essentially. You, Michelle, and Isis.
So for us three, within the next few days, get all information to Nick.
yeah, by next week, by next week, by the one.
Are we expecting that this RFP is going to be a small number? Because we're on a certain step, or are we expecting it's gonna be, like, are we expecting it's gonna be like $3,000 or like $147,000? I really don't know.
It's gonna be by then.
100,000.
They're gonna give you a proposal that's gonna have a by the hour rate, and then different attorneys will tell you that they're gonna charge for printing fees and postage fees and whatever. Doesn't really matter. Once you have the RFP that you're comfortable sending out, you just send it out to those firms, you have a list of, and you give them a date, and you say, hey, we need proposals due by this date, and they'll either drop them off, or however you want to do it in the RFP, whether you want them to drop them off at a central location, or email them, or whatever.
I'll see if you have questions.
Do you, as your company, do you guys wanna do your own research and then kind of talk or email each other and then come up with a list, where you just gonna have your own list? So that
I think, yeah.
it's not that.
Communicating with each other, yeah, it's gonna be important. I mean, I will send out the minutes and every month for you.
So is there anything else that we, want to accomplish tonight? That makes sense.
Yeah, I think right now we're kind of stopped at legal, and then when we get that, we'll be able to draft the agreement properly. Or start that, so, yeah. But I really don't think that'd be as, right now.
Question? Yeah, so, we kind of agreed to have a public information part there, because I volunteered. And I do it affects a lot, my job, so, probably you should have a vote of saying yes on the, I'll be your public information officer, and then make some agreement that says, if everybody's on board with that, that if you're contacted by a,
Media person.
whoever, yeah, you just say, you need to talk to the public information officer. And then what I would do is hopefully get a list of questions from them in writing. Sometimes they'll do that for you. And I would draft a response, and I'll send it to all of you. And then we'll decide, yes, that's probably the response we want to get. Rather than try to answer questions on the spot, because they likely get answered. And then inevitably it's wrong. So,
So I propose that Bob is our public information officer.
Aye.
All in favor?
That was quick.
Well,
All right.
Sold yourself.
That's not my plan, but I'd like Neil to continue to do that.
the IT.
And then you just need to come, you just said, if you get anything from, reporters. Yeah. All right, then I'll,
I mean, do you want me to put the email address on your phone when I get it? That way you have, you can email it directly.
Just use his official email.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, all right.
I nominate Neil as our IT guy.
All in favor?
And, when you're setting up, are you talking about setting up an email for everybody, or?
No, this is just a single email for point of contact. I don't want to, for residents, anybody in the public. I mean, no one may ever use it, but I figure at least if we have
You
something.
could send questions to them.
Right.
And then you'll check it out.
Yeah, and then what we can do is we can put that email address on the town's website. That way, people say, oh, I'll just email that email to ask the questions or whatever they may have. And then we'll also have a link to that drive on the website, just like we did with the committee that we had before. So that way, people can click on whatever they want to. That we put on it, and you got to click on
If we're, just a thought, if we're doing first and third Thursday of each month, you think you can create appointments and send it to the group?
Oh, wow, he's getting fancy over here.
Do what?
Appointments, like, so we have
Oh, your calendar appointment.
calendar appointments,
Mhm.
that way it's, yeah,
So nobody forgets.
right. That way we're not all creating our own or something, and when one person just makes a
You
suggestion.
just want to see if he's free secretaries.
Yeah, well,
Like, what them all to.
yeah, it's easy.
All right.
Anything else we want to accomplish tonight?
I don't think so, just identifying our objectives for the next meeting, which all I had was selecting the lawyer. Do you have anything specifically we're hoping to accomplish at the next meeting or by the next meeting?
Now we're supposed to start looking at the budget, correct?
Yeah. We can bring some information that we can.
So we
I don't
can
know how
follow
far
up
in.
on the budget.
Yeah, like I don't know how far in we'll get, but
We can follow up.
So we're doing budget updates,
Yeah.
maybe, something like that. Okay.
That's the budget.
Yeah.
Work together and.
Yeah.
Partner with DOE and see what we can get.
I like it.
So the only last thing that I kind of had was, as far as being prepared, reconvening back up with rules and expectations for writing agenda. Is one person keeping track of that, or are we talked about each chair leading for each community? So is that person responsible for creating the agenda, and not also just creating it, but do we want to have it distributed in advance? Somebody said something about knowing what the agenda was in advance, right?
Yeah, what I used to do is send out the agenda and ask anybody else on this is when we did the ad hoc committee, ask if anybody had anything to add. And then I would print out the agenda for the group.
Do you want each chair doing that for the meeting that's gonna be in that community? Okay.
So since we're going to Sumner next time, I have select lawyer, follow up on the budget. That's all I have.
So I-
What are your next steps?
During next steps and prior meeting minutes, we have to do that.
It probably wouldn't hurt to go and
Approve the minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes.
So as far as the tech stuff, just so I'm clear, I assume that each chair is going to be responsible for their own minute uploads and all that type of stuff, because you guys have the devices.
Right.
Is the chair, or would it be the person on each withdrawal committee that is a municipal officer? Probably makes sense, right?
I guess you're covering them up.
I was gonna say, I feel like I have mine covered, so you know, it's crazy.
Well,
That's the main, so.
I just need to know how much of a role you guys want me to take over.
I Are we talking about what's being posted on our town websites?
Have to go through the slide.
So it should be the select person who's gonna be responsible to make that happen.
Yeah.
Because you already know how to do all that stuff.
Diane.
That's how I'm gonna do it.
So we're saying if and when there is a press release, correct? It's going to be provided by you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it would come to this meeting most likely, and then I'll get it to the end.
Yep.
I'm a little slow, I need it that basic. Got it.
He was more focused on like the live streaming is what he was.
Right. The minutes plus the live stream, and I assume that each town is gonna upload it themselves, so either, here's the town clerk, or in Barcelona, or whoever you know, you're one of your, the staff, and then the same thing for someone, for Diane,
Stacy does it.
or Stacy.
Yeah, so in summer, we don't live stream it, we.
She just
tape
does the
it,
video,
put it
it's
on
not
TV.
live.
Right, but you guys are gonna take care of that stuff.
Yes.
Because that's your equipment, and it's your.
So what you're saying is though that Leanne takes care of that for us.
Right.
So we're gonna need her to distribute the link to the other two towns, so like,
I was right on YouTube, so we.
well, right, I mean, it sits on YouTube, but they like, they Bucky to post it on their town page, right?
Post it on town page, then we put it on YouTube.
Right, so whichever town representative that's in charge of that would forward that link to Barfield.
Right.
You know, to the other two towns, and then they would, you know, post on that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to share the link.
Yeah.
Then for-
I make a motion to adjourn.
I
And
second.
I don't wanna be a bring something back up, but at the beginning, you had mentioned that you wanted to put, kind of in the notes, the whys we're doing this, and I think we got off track.
Right.
After that, I don't know if you wanna revisit that, or if it's just obvious.
I think it's different reading for everybody.
Yeah, so I don't know if we need to like say why.
I think it's a good idea.
I can speak for myself, I don't know if you wanna go through or whatever, but for me personally, when I pay my property taxes, and I look at this in many different angles, but when I pay my property taxes, and then my three kids go to school, and then I go to school to go to games or other things, or principal problems, and my kids get in trouble. I see a lot of, in my opinion, mismanagement of money. And mismanagement more of resources. You know, and unfortunately, resources equal to money. So, you know, as far as getting that stuff. And like when I walk the hall, I see all these kids just sitting inside the classroom, doing nothing, looking at porn on their laptops. And one of my kids is one of the issues. And I do have a kid who has special needs, and, you know, but there's gotta be a better way. And so I don't mind paying more money in property taxes, but I want to have a little more control of how it's spent and what it goes to. And to be, you know, for a simple example, the kid that, you know, one of my kids that has special needs, he's gonna graduate because I've already been told he's just gonna graduate. He don't have to pay that because he has an IEP that basically lets the school off the hook and they're gonna graduate, no matter what. Even though in my head, I'm like, no, he needs another year, but whatever. And he's not done. He's not intelligent. So it's just the problem is that the curriculum is set up to be taught this way, this how, and if you don't fit the box, tough luck. And I know that the curriculum for him was changed to meet what he likes and to work around his issues. He would ace all his classes. And I'm sure it's very similar to that with a lot of kids. So I'm just looking to see if we can come about this a different way to help the kids and also help the resources in order to make this work as a local school. That's kind of around.
Can I just make a recommendation? Even though that's good information, I think we're gonna have, or you guys are gonna have a lot of mixed feelings.
Right.
And you ought to stick to the fact that the 3 towns voted for this, and keep it at that, because this is gonna create some animosity between the committee if we start talking, or you guys start talking about what you guys want. It's just my recommendation.
And you guys should just look back at the letters that were sent to the Commissioner of Education or whatever was in there from the municipal officers, is just, that's it.
I don't disagree with you.
No, I hear you.
I just think that's it.
But you are right, you are right.
One of the things I was thinking about, again, I'll bring up Dixfield just because I just had that conversation, is they were lucky in a sense because they had a lot of people that they could pull that were kind of loyalist to them. And I feel that we are going to be behind on that aspect because I don't know if we have anybody on this section of town that's, you know, a business manager, has their certificate for superintendent, or, you know what I mean, that could play a role, because theirs did part-time superintendent, part-time principal. So they lucked out in a lot of ways. They had a tech guy and a decent buildings and grounds guy that chose to lead with them. And these are the things that are gonna bother me the most, is where we can find these people.
The resources, community leaders, all that stuff.
Yeah, people who are willing to, I mean, a lot of those people, they're just willing to multitask, do multiple different jobs just to make it work. And I'm hoping we find people within the school district that are willing to do the same.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to find, there, like a lot of smaller schools, that's what they have to do, and that's the job. And I think we'll find people that will like do that. But I don't know if we'll find people that are currently.
Right. Right.
But I also think it's important, you know, what Karen and the other talk about, I think it's important for us to know that this committee is here to get the information delivered to people, for them to make it. So I think our job is to just get all the facts, present them to everybody. I don't know if it's, we can advocate for one way or another, but I think this committee's real role is just get all the facts together and hear it.
Take feelings out.
Once we have those people.
Right.
We can
That
get
is
those
the thing,
people.
when I think about this, that's the thing I think is the biggest
Yeah.
mistake.
But I have a question in relation to your comment about Dixfield, that they had those people. Have we actually had a communication with all the staff of our school, Department of Elementary and Senior High School, to know if staff, teachers, everybody's in that category of who works there now have opinions, or now that they know it's an official process that you're engaging in, do they need to have a question asked of them, or do they, I mean, is there something that would assess the status of their feelings for coming out with us, or not? Is that an important thing to
Yeah, I don't think that's something we
perhaps,
need to
but not now?
look at now, but
At some point, that conversation's gonna have to happen.
Right.
I don't know that anybody was,
we have to walk further.
Step eight.
Maybe it's not part of that withdrawal agreement. I haven't really delved into what all the components are for the withdrawal agreement itself.
I think that's important though, to have some sort of,
Maybe a questionnaire.
like loyalty from at least some of the staff, because just from unofficially talking to people, it sounds like a lot of the staff are afraid of taking really big pay cuts, and I don't know if that's accurate.
So-
Losing jobs or.
If you read in this step, it says that we are responsible to continue those contract agreements. You know, it's
So I
saying
think,
a cut
yeah,
pay.
my feeling was it was just kind of a rumor going around, and I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I didn't want to say anything like, oh no, it's definitely not gonna happen, or.
I would guess
You know what I
the
mean?
rumor is coming because I believe most teachers got a significant pay raise when it went to RSU 10, if I'm not mistaken.
But that was in 2008.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, we pay more than most of the other areas to attract teachers, and we still have openings. So, but yeah, you're right, Michelle, nobody's pay is gonna get cut, but what would happen, and I think you're probably getting some of this is from what happened in Litchfield, it was kind of a mess for the first 3 years, and it was messy, you know, people are more concerned probably about, losing their jobs because we cut the number of teachers. That's where probably they're gonna get concerned. But that's the only thing, like, if we're trying to make a budget, we can't pay the teachers less, we can't pay everybody less, it's good to maintain the contract. So if you're trying to cut, it's positions.
That's good to know, because I've been kind of asking people how they're feeling about it, and a lot of it's pretty negative, so.
Well, I mean, for them, it's the same job, you know, it's the same building, the same people, it's the same job, just something different that's.
And the contract remains the same.
Yeah, right, exactly. Until the contracts are renegotiated, you have to get out, and then it's on you to get renegotiated,
Well,
you know?
3-year contracts.
and the new school boards will deal with it.
That's right.
When that 3-year comes around again.
Even if you were to make cuts, it's still gonna cost you money because there's buyout clauses to those contracts. If you get rid of somebody, there's a certain amount of time, right? I mean, you're gonna have money tied up and.
I don't think.
Well, no, I just want people to be aware of that. Like, it's not like you can just cut a job and be like, all right, you don't have that anymore. Like, there's still a cost tied to that.
I don't think we're going to have any trouble with teachers though, because I know for a fact that down in Buckfield, they've had some teachers come from Plumford to fill in down there for, say, a week or so, and they wish they could stay in Buckfield.
Yeah, I definitely say that, but the culture in our schools, I mean, Buckfield Junior Senior High School, I mean, we've got a bunch of teachers from Oxford that have come over, and and once they get there, you know, the Buckfield Shore, you know,
They like it.
we get, the culture over there, and people like it, so.
Maybe down the road, we could invite the teachers to a meeting or go to a teachers meeting and answer questions. We're not at that level now.
Yeah, I know, but
Right.
I feel like it would be helpful to do something like that early on, because people are obviously already talking, saying, oh, this is a terrible idea, we're gonna lose jobs, money, and all that stuff, and, you know, it's not just the staff, but the staff who talks to the parents, who talks to the other people in the community, and the town, that votes. Yeah, that's the right
information out there.
And that's why Neil's point about being transparent is so important. Because we'll have the agenda and the meeting minutes all right out there. You know, take a look at, this is where we are, this is what the work we're doing. And it's there and available for people.
Give good information in the school.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to, honestly want to, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to say like, oh, no, your salaries would be the same, if I'm not 100% know that, but it's not like that's written in sense.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, then I think we can make a motion to adjourn. Second that, I see. All in favor? Okay, good job, everybody. Thank you.
Very funny last.